everybody, and welcome to One Team Kitchen. I'm here representing today. My name is Gregory Lynch. I'm known to some people as Chef Greg. I'm known to other people as Mr. Greg. And when I worked for the little kids at the daycare center, I was known as Chef Poopy Head. I'm here today to show you how show off some of my culinary skills by making for you one of my favorite dishes. It's a tenderized chicken breast that I pickled with my own personal recipe, dipped in batter, fried, and then just served on a plate with some whiskey roasted potatoes and some roasted asparagus. It's simple, it's delicious, and you're gonna love it, so let's go. Okay, we start this dish with a basic pickle. Now, a pickle is a way to tenderize your meat without actually having to beat it silly with a hammer or a cleaver or any of those wonderful tools that Dad used to love to work with. My pickle, I use lime juice because I love the flavor of lime, along with some honey, and I love to use pink Himalayan salt. Now, the proportions that you use are really kind of up to you. That's what makes pickling like unique to everybody who does it. So what you want to do is get all your ingredients together to where it's a taste that you like, and then get your meat and you soak it in there. You soak it in that pickling for at least an hour. 6 hours is kind of ideal, but at least an hour and that'll be good. Once you're done doing this, you can do just about anything with this meat, and this meat is going to be the most tender meat that you have ever tried. So now I'm going to show you how to make the batter, and we'll go on to our next step. So for the batter, what we do is we take 2 cups of flour. You don't want to use any kind of baking flour or anything, just regular flour out of the pantry. And we'll take 2 eggs. I pre-beat my eggs because it's just a little simpler that way. We'll take 2 tablespoons of sugar. We're also going to use some salt to taste. I like my fresh ground, or who doesn't, right? Okay. And then we're going to take sweet milk, or what we call sweetened condensed milk, and we're going to add that in here, and we're going to beat this slowly until we get a consistency that's a little bit on the thick side. You want it that when you touch it with the back of a spoon, it's going to stick to the spoon and run off, but not run off like really watery or anything. So let me get this beat up together, and we'll move on to our next step. Right, our batter's ready, and as you can see, that's about the consistency that we're looking for. You want it thin, you want it running, but you don't want it too thin, like watery thin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this aside, let it percolate for a while, and I'm going to go ahead and start cutting my potatoes because they're going to take a little longer to cook than the chicken will. So we'll get that started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut into 6 pieces. I got little tricolor tiny potatoes here, which is going to be real eye appealing and everything. Watch your fingers, keep your fingers bent under. And just take your time, don't make sure you don't hurt yourself. Nobody wants to get hurt in the kitchen. That's what my grandmother used to always say. My grandmother had this kitchen over in Windber, Pennsylvania, in a little town called Mine 37. And everything was run by coal, including her stove. She used to get up at 4:30 in the morning, every morning, just to get that stove lit up every day. And then she would just start cooking, and she wouldn't stop cooking until sundown. It was time to go to bed. My grandmother, she never bought anything. She had her own garden. She grew everything in her garden. She did all her own canning and pickling. We ate giant dandelion wine. We ate homemade applesauce, preserves, you name it. My grandmother did everything. The only thing she bought at the store was toilet paper and meat, and that was it. Everything else she grew on her own. So I'll get these potatoes cut, and then we'll move on to our next step. Okay, now that I got my potatoes cut, our next step for whiskey roasted potatoes is we're going to add in all of our ingredients, toss it up, and stick them in the oven, all right? So I'm preheating my oven to 375 degrees to get it nice and hot for me there. I'm going to put in a little bit of olive oil. You don't want too much because you don't want to get too greasy. And you don't want the olive oil to keep that great, delicious whiskey flavor from getting the potatoes. So now we're going to toss in the whiskey. I'm just going to use a shot because the rest of it's for later on. All right, throw that in there. And I'm going to toss this around so that those potatoes can really absorb some of that whiskey flavor, right? So we're going to do that. All right, I got my whiskey and my oil blended just fine. So what we're going to do is going to take a little bit of salt and pepper now. All right, just a little bit of that there. My Himalayan pink salt, some fresh ground pepper, because who doesn't want fresh ground pepper? And before I get my hands all wet again, we're going to get this pan coated and pop these bad boys in the oven. So just a little bit of vegetable spray. All right. Okay. And we're going to take our potatoes right out of there. We don't want the whiskey to go in the oven with the potatoes because we don't want the potatoes to steam. We want them to get nice and crispy. So we'll just lay them out all evenly on the sheet pan there. You can see. And we're going to pop these bad boys in the oven and let them go. This should take about anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And now we'll move on to our next step. All right, now that our potatoes are in the oven and cooking, we're going to move on to the chicken. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to get and drain this chicken from the brine. You can't use the brine twice because once you got chicken in there, you don't want those nasty next door neighbors showing up for dinner, salmonella. So just drain that out anywhere. That's good and drained. All right, we'll get that in there. Now I want you to take a look at how this already started affecting my chicken. See how it's getting a little white in color? That's your juice, your honey, and your salt going to work on this chicken, breaking it down molecularly and making it nice and soft. So we're just going to dip this straight into the batter. You don't need any flour because it's already in here. So we just go right into the batter, like so. Look how that clings right on there like that, see? We'll get the other side, like so. And then we're going to go and get the rest of our pieces in there. And then I'm going to heat up a skillet with some hot oil, and this goes right directly into the oil. So I'll meet you back at the stove in a moment. Use a little vegetable oil. You can use canola oil, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, olive oil if you wish, whatever you want. Just get that in your pan. And we're going to let that get nice and hot. All right, and this is going to take a moment or two. Okay, now we got the oil hot. How hot? Hot enough to cook, but not hot enough to burn. That's what Grandma used to tell me, but remember, Grandma used to work on a coal stove. So now we take our chicken breasts, generously battered, and we drop that right into the hot pan there. Go from front to back so you don't splatter yourself. Just like that. Now we're going to let these sit up to 5 minutes per side, but just check them. You want them to get nice and brown. Brown first. Okay, now that our chicken breasts are nice and brown, golden delicious, we're going to take them out of the pan and we're going to put them on a pre-greased sheet pan and finish these guys off in the oven. You want to set your oven, like I said, to 375. Let these guys sit in there for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Check them with a thermometer. You want your internal temperature to be 165 for chicken because you don't want those pesky neighbors showing up at the end of the day today. Salmonella. Just a little tip for you. See at the size of these chicken breasts? This is just 2 chicken breasts that I cut in half lengthwise like this. All right, I'm going to slide these into the oven. I'll meet you back to the cutting board. We're going to do our asparagus real quick. Okay, now one of our last steps is to get the asparagus into the oven. I like pencil point asparagus. Is really good, and it's kind of cheap this time of year. When you're preparing your asparagus, it's up to you how you want to do the size. You can cut it into smaller sizes. I like my pencil points. I like them nice and long. Just make sure when you're trimming them, trim off these edges here that tend to get a little pink or purple because that's a little tough and chewy. You can save these and use them to make vegetable stock. They make a great vegetable stock, or you can just toss them in the garbage. It's up to you. So I already got my pre-trim. I'm going to throw them in my bowl here. I'm going to grab a little bit of olive oil. It's simple, simple, simple method. Just a little bit of olive oil, some fresh salt, and some fresh pepper. And we're going to slap them in the oven and grill these off. And it's going to be really, really delicious. And a little bit of pepper. All right, I've washed my hands, so don't worry about that. And toss these bad boys up now real quick. All right, I'm going to take these over here. I pulled my potatoes out of the oven for the moment to let them sit. I flipped them over to get the brown on the other side. Now we're going to drop our pencil point asparagus right next to them. See that right there? And I'm going to slap this back in the oven. We'll get these finished off. And now the final step, we're going to make our sauce for the chicken. I'll see you in a minute. All right, last but not least, I'm going to make a nice dipping sauce to go with my chicken. And my dipping sauce kind of comes from an old Irish recipe. I'm Irish on my father's side. We're going to add a little bit of mayonnaise. We don't want to make too much. It's just enough to enhance the flavor of the chicken. So we'll start a little bit of mayonnaise. Get just a tad of sour cream. I don't measure anything. I'm a chef. I've been a chef for a million years. You can see that looks like maybe a third of a cup. Rubber spatula. Everybody has one. Not everybody knows what they're used for. These things are great for getting that last bit of stuff out of the container. You can scrape it all the way off the sides and not waste any money. And that's what chefs love to do, save money. So we got our mayonnaise. We're going to take a little bit of sour cream to go with that right there. Okay, we're going to take a fresh lime. Now, another tip. Squeeze down and roll that lime a little bit before you cut it. It'll actually help loosen everything up inside and bring them juices to the front and center. All right, so we're going to take I think about a half a lime should do it. Got this little antique gadget at a flea market. I think I paid 50 cents for it. Slide your lime right in there and squeeze, and it does all the work for you. Look at all that juice coming out. Yeah, there we go. Let's turn that side. We'll get that going one more time. I bet Grandma used one like this in her coal burning stove kitchen, right? Okay, we're good there. Now we're going to take just a drop of Dijon mustard. That's going to give it a little bit of tang to it. Some fresh honey. Well, as fresh as it can be at this time of year. Get that bad boy coming out of there. Another little tip, if you get into the bottom of the honey jar and you can't seem to get that honey to come out for you, pop the thing in the microwave oven for about 20 seconds. It'll warm it up, it'll become real loose and liquidy like water and just flow right out of it for you. And this is where the Irish part comes in. Now, believe it or not, the Irish do use curry in a lot of their cooking. I like to put a little bit of curry and a little bit of curry. That's the trick. You don't want it to overwhelm the flavor, but you want the curry on the back of your palate there while you're dipping. So just maybe, like 3 sprinkles, that'll do it. Now I'm going to take that, we're going to mix this up. Look at that. Ah, wonderful. You know this is going to be good. Oh, faith in Begorrath, the Irish dipping sauce. Always after me, Lucky Charms. All right, there we go. All right, while I get this together, waiting for our chicken to cook, we'll get everything plated up and we'll see how it tastes. See you in a minute. Okay, I just checked the temperature on my chicken. It's a little bit over $170, so we are ready to eat, baby. Yeah. Oh, mama, look at that. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. Oh, my vegetables too. Everything's ready at the same time. If you time it right, dinner is always going to be hot and fresh. Let's take this up to the carving board, huh? Oh, this way. There we go. Okay. Now, put that right there. Let's get a piece up here. I want to show you what this looks like. Let me take this piece here. All right. And get a knife. All righty. And we'll cut right into this. A little demonstration. Look at that. The juiciest chicken you're ever gonna... I wish you could smell this. This is the best chicken you're ever gonna eat. Let's get that on our plate. We're gonna leave that together like that. All right, we'll just pop that back together like Frankenstein, or Frankenstein's monster. We're gonna move this back over here, bring our vegetables, set up our display. All right. You don't want to use the same thing to serve your vegetables as you did your chicken, so we're gonna get... Yep, there we go. And get some of these pencil points. Put them right on the side there like that. Look at that. Scoop or 2 of whiskey roasted potatoes. Oh yeah. Talk about a dish, man. All right, now that sauce, we're just gonna drizzle a little bit of that sauce right on top of there like that. Oh yeah. Let me tell you something, kids. This is gonna be fantastic. All right. You're gonna take a little sample of this. Shut my mouth, slap your grandma, that's good. Remember, pickling is the most delicious, most tender way you're gonna get any kind of meat. Your whiskey roasted potatoes, nice and crunchy, cooked all the way through. Don't be ashamed to eat asparagus with your fingers. That's why God gave you fingers. Thank you, everybody. Chef Gregory Lynch for Team 1 Kitchen. We'll see you again real soon.